Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is GGF bringing you episode 29, just one away from 30 of Let's Try Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. Finally get to sit down today and enjoy some RPG gaming. Hope you guys are doing well and ready to check out some more Wrath of the Righteous with me. We're going to get it in here. We are still at the tavern, have not really stepped out. Defender's Heart, there's still more people to talk to. We're going to finish up talking to Lann, who we got in with it last episode a bit. And he's going to give us some dope knowledge today, so let's talk to him. Alright, so let's see. Tell me about your people. Of course, what would you like to know? What's it like living in your caves? Oh, Lann gives you a broad smile. His smile is strange, as if it falters where his human features meet his animal ones. Imagine that in the entire world there's only a few hundred like you. There's not an inch of fertile ground anywhere, nowhere to grow grain for bread or cotton and linen for cloth. Your neighbors are beasts who want to eat you, or parasites who want to infect you with their larvae and then eat you. And it's not that bad, because you can try to eat most of the things that are trying to eat you. Sometimes at the risk of getting poisoned, sometimes with almost no risk at all. In the worst years, there's not a single living thing anywhere to be found, predator or prey. That's when you eat mushroom soup. I'd say 3 times a day, but there was barely enough for once every 3 days. Lann shrugs. But life underground has its upsides, pun intended. There's no risk of losing the roof over your head. There's no bad weather, not counting the earthquakes, of course. Huh. Wow, are you really the descendants of the first Crusaders? More like demon spawn, aren't we? Sad but true. Without the demons, there'd be no mongrels. It's the magic of the world wound that affected our ancestors and made their children the way we are. Like most in our tribe, Chief Soul fancies himself a descendant of the underground Crusaders, the ones our heroic ancestors left to guard the caves. I don't know if it's true or not. That angel came to our caves for a reason. Maybe he remembered us. Chief Soul, the ruler of the Neathholm village and chief of the mongrel tribe that lives in the caves beneath Canabras. We know what the world wound is, but one more time, demon-haunted wasteland that lies at the northernmost reaches of central Avestan. Can't wait to see a world map. The world wound is an unnatural blight. It is a rift to the abyss opened on the material plane. It appeared shortly after the death of the god Erodin, at the beginning of the Age of Lost Omens, and is probably the greatest threat to life on the face of Galarian. And we know about demons. Alright. Those were evil and dangerous times after the First Crusade. Hundreds of Crusaders began having children, and the babies were born with fangs and horns and warts that covered half their face. People didn't like the new look. The Inquisitors sure didn't, so our ancestors fled persecution and made a home for themselves down there, under the ground. They probably intended to find a cure for their children and hoped to return in time, but it never happened. Instead, the world wound's terrible legacy was passed down from generation to generation. Mongrel parents can only guess what their child will look like. Each of us is born with a new mutation. Many mutations are fatal. Lann stops, then goes on quietly. Down in the caves, we usually don't congratulate the family for the birth of a child until they turn at least 3. Most don't even get a name before that. There's no point. It hasn't been that long since the First Crusade. Why do you know so little about your ancestors? Our lives are much shorter than most uplanders. Up here, only a few generations passed, and many still live who remember old Sarkoris, as it stood untouched by the demons. Queen Galfrey, for example. But where we live, mongrels start getting old much earlier than humans, much faster, and with more devastating consequences. Few live past 40, and fewer still live long enough to die of old age. Hunger, disease, and monsters from the deep are more effective killers than time. We know about Queen Galfrey. Sarkoris. The lost Kellid realm of Sarkoris was a savage land of fiercely painted warriors, shamans, and druids, established in 3672, a few years before the prophesied return of Arodin. Rodin, stirrings of demonic cults began there. Sarkoris' strange mystics made grim predictions of the nation's fall. However, the people were mostly confident that Arodin's return would directly lead to a final end of these cults. Unfortunately, the mystics were proven correct. The death of Arodin in 4606 saw the appearance of the World Wound, a gaping gateway to the abyss, in the heart of Sarkoris. The nearby city of Ys was the first to fall to demonic forces. At first it seemed that there still was a chance to stop the invasion, but in 4638, the World Wound abruptly expanded. The rest of the clan holds soon fell. The very land became warped and twisted, and demons continued to spew forth from the World Wound. The Church of Iomedae declared the Mandavian Crusades in order to drive back the demons. However, whilst they have been somewhat successful in containing the threat, Sarkoris itself remains firmly under demonic control. So for us, the story of the First Crusade is a legend that happened generations ago. There are no living witnesses. We have a tale of the wise and great ancestors who left us to stand guard in the catacombs, but in reality, I suspect they were desperate wretches who couldn't figure out how to dispel the demonic plague, and who were abandoned by their own kind. Do you have a way to tell day and night? You can't see the sun in your caves. Every Mongol settlement has a big gong, which we treat like a relic. The gong keeper hits it twice a day to mark the beginning and end, but this custom doesn't keep time very precisely. Every Mongol child has snuck up to the gong to strike it at the wrong time at least once, just out of pure mischief. Nothing could keep me away from it, not even the fact I only have one ear, which means it would take double the punishment once I was caught. So sometimes the wrong strikes get mixed in with the right ones, and the tribe can find itself jumping up to greet the morning in the middle of the night. Wow. Do Mongol tribes fight each other? There were some skirmishes, and I've been forced to kill my kinfolk before too. Lann speaks in a steady voice. Fights most often break out over food. We have laws in the caves, written and unwritten rules that we follow. We respect one another's right to live, but hunger, it can push a person over the edge. I've never, you can count on that, stolen someone else's kill, but I can understand those of my kin who tried. To hear your kids begging for food and not be able to feed them is terrifying. He frowns and goes silent. You're the only member of the Nethulm tribe to call your people mongrels. Why is that? Because all of Galarian calls us that? I don't see the point of all this hemming and hawing over what we're called. Anyone who finds it offensive or takes issue with it can lead the charge against the name. No one's stopping them. But personally, I'm not going to pick a fight over something as unimportant as a name. Thank you, I found out everything I wanted to know. It's nice to know my ramblings seem useful to somebody. What do you think of life on the surface? It must be very different from life underground. Of course, as far as living conditions, the surface is definitely a better place to be. It's easier to get good food and water, not to mention build a house and even grow a few things. In older, well-established settlements, you don't have to deal with anything scarier than rats, or maybe foxes stealing chickens. As for the kind of lives you have, I heard a story about demon worshippers abducting a whole family and sacrificing them one by one while the others watched, but there were some brave crusader knights nearby, and they killed the villains and saved everyone. And I heard another story. A young blacksmith lost his arm in a fire, couldn't work to feed his wife and baby. They tried their best and lived from hand to mouth, but they were still destitute. In the end, the desperate blacksmith robbed a traveler one night on the road. But there were some brave crusader knights nearby, and they caught the robber and threw him in prison. Not long after, his wife smothered their baby and hanged herself. Wow. Up here, the same person can proudly say he's protecting the innocent from demons, and then look the other way while the same innocent starves just because they were born into a poor family. Queen Galfrey prolongs her life with sun orchid elixirs that cost enough to feed an entire city. Back in our caves, everyone is equally poor, and if one person starves, the whole tribe starves. We don't abandon our own in times of trouble. That's the power of a tribe. The laws of the surface are made so that some get everything and others get nothing. I might just be a naive fool from the caves, but I don't understand how it's possible to have so much more and share so much less. Anyway, look who I'm talking to. You must know life on the surface much better than I do. Look at the evil response. No, don't like that. I didn't choose what family I was born into. I just looked at what I got. I'd never leave a needy person in trouble. I've been given more than most, which means I'm now more able to help others. A fitting reply. Don't take my words as a reproach. I like grumbling as much as cracking jokes. Lann is obviously trying to muster a friendly smile, but it's an expression his face doesn't accommodate very naturally. He performed an action that was good. You said you were prepared to risk your life to do something meaningful. What exactly did you mean? To invent a new salad and have it named after me, Lann remarks grimly, then he sighs. Truth be told, I don't know. It would be much easier if all I really wanted was to kill demons, then a few more demons, then more demons after that. Good honest rage and no needless brooding. I think I actually envy the warriors who can live like that. But I can't. If life's taught me anything, it's that there are no easy choices. Dying a glorious death isn't enough. Some heroes of the Crusades did that and also saved entire settlements, erected the ward stones. Their actions kept the lands of Mendev safe for decades. That's what I want, for my dumb, short life to have meant something. Some heroes of the Crusades. Oh, okay. You think I have an exaggerated opinion of myself? Some scaly freak crawls out of the caves and wants to take control of the ward stones and flaunt Iomede's banner? Any fool can charge at the front lines of the demonic armies and die there, but what good will that do? I want something meaningful, you know? Even if I have to pay the highest price, especially if I have to pay it. There are plenty of worthier people who need to survive this war and tell everyone else what nutcases we were. I don't think you belong. No. Alright, thank you for your answers. So long. Lann is an interesting cat, that's for sure. How much longer can we hold out? A day? 2? Okay, if we come over here... This is the next person to talk to.
The road awaits.
We've got Indara and Pink Eye. An imposing young OREAD is surrounded by a crowd of crusaders who are hanging on to her every word. I hope this example clearly illustrates the difference between Jiska legionaries from the last war and the Crusaders. The perfection of form and spirit they were imbued with during creation turned them into parts of a well-balanced war machine, not a ragtag bunch of individuals, but a united whole. Crusaders between Jiska legionaries from the last war. The Jiska Imperium was the first human kingdom to establish itself in the Inner Sea region after the centuries of darkness and devastation caused by Earthfall. Its citizens spoke a nearly forgotten language called Jiska, whose alphabet became the basis of the alphabets of the modern languages of Skald, Varisian, and Taldane. At its height, it dominated all of northwestern Garund and also parts of southwestern Avestan. Raids of desert nomads and attacks by powerful outsiders from minus 3300 onward, and the lack of a strong eastern trade route led to the slow decline of Jiska. Osirion, then a burgeoning kingdom under the control of the powerful Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues, pushed westward. It overthrew the already weakened Jiska, and the Imperium was plunged into numerous succession wars around minus 2764, from which it was never again able to recover its former political, military, and economic power. Because of this military and economic defeat, the important cultural, magical, and technological advances of the Jiska Imperium were largely lost and forgotten. Now tell me again why I'm supposed to be impressed by your reckless assaults, where everyone is fighting for their ego and for the right to beat their peers to a swift but pointless heroic sacrifice? Some of the Crusaders grumble unhappily, but it is clear that they are captivated by the woman's words. The only exception is a scraggly and disheveled halfling monk whose puffy black eye gives him away as a brawler and a troublemaker. He enthusiastically pushes forward and tries to engage, but one of his friends swiftly jabs him in the back with an elbow, making the poor fellow pause to catch his breath. Quietly listen to the discussion. Canabra's crusader. One of the crusaders angrily curls his fist tightly and retorts with a burst of passion. If those gists of yours or whatever had come for us, we'd have their guts for garters. You think we've never fought a mighty adversary before? The soldier's stern facade cannot fully conceal his relish. He clearly plans to enjoy this confrontation. The crusaders around him look upon their exotic opponent with a mixture of irritation and piqued interest. Indara, the woman chuckles before cutting off her interlocutor. I would love to see you storm a 60-foot-tall walking castle shaped like a gigantic elephant that carries siege fortifications on its back. And I'll have you know these fortifications were defended by Jiskin priests craftsmen armed with demon-bound war machines. What? A storm of 60-foot-tall walking castle shaped like a gigantic elephant that carries siege fortifications on its back, and the fortifications were defended by Jiskin priest craftsmen armed with demon-bound war machines. What? They use the enemies you cannot defeat as mindless weapons. The woman gives the people around her a triumphant look and adjusts her clothes with pointed nonchalance. Her voice takes on a lecturer's tone. You should not argue with someone who happens to be the most authoritative researcher on the history of warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. Absalom for more than 4,000 years. Absalom has been the city at the center of the world, a metropolis-sized showcase of the greatest treasures on all of Golarion. The city not only holds a key strategic position for both commercial and military endeavors in the region, but encompasses the site of the ascension of 4 deities and claims to have been founded by none other than the last Aslanti, the god Erodin. The woman looks at you and flashes an amused smile. The lecture is over. Do my esteemed listeners have any questions? Who are you? I am Indara, a warrior, magus, and scholar of classical warfare from Garund. The woman peers at you apprehensively, then sighs. I admit that I am mildly offended by the fact that my name is entirely unfamiliar to you, but I'm willing to accept that this is due to Avastan's isolation from the sophisticated culture of the world at large. She's from Garund. Garund is the continent found south of Avastan across the Inner Sea and west of Kazmarin, from which it is separated by the Obari Ocean. During the late Age of Anguish and Age of Destiny, Central Garund was the heart of civilization in the hemisphere, and this legacy of arcane discovery remains even today in the nations of Osirian, Nex, Nantambu, and Holomog. Beyond these bastions of civilization, Garund is overrun by dangerous wilds, from expansive deserts to impenetrable jungles. And she's talking about Avastan, is a continent on the world of Golarion, one of the most densely populated areas on the planet. Avastan possesses as many varied cultures and environments as any other continent in the world, and an ancient history stretching back tens of thousands of years. Brevoy, the River Kingdoms, Numeria, and the Stolen Lands are all situated on Avastan. You've come a long way to be here. I like to think of myself as an inhabitant of Golarion, and I don't narrowly identify with any country in particular. So the planet Golarion orbits a yellow sun in the far reaches of the material plane. Third of 11 in orbit, this blue planet contains vast oceans and lush greenlands, and is the perfect environment for countless cultures. Indeed, Golarion is the most populous planet in its solar system. Its innately hospitable and life-sustaining environment is presumably the work of the gods, so astronomers sometimes refer to Golarion as the child. Astronomers of other planets, however, often refer to Golarion as the cage, in reference to its cosmic role as the prison of the mad god Robagug, who lies bound at the world's core. Why did you come here? to witness a legendary war, the confrontation between denizens of a plane famous for its love of violence, and the crusaders from every continent united by the common goal of defending their home. An epic struggle of colossal proportions that hasn't been particularly epic so far, truth be told. Pink Eye, the monk with a black eye, grins and mutters under his breath. Maybe she just can't see it from here. The view will get way more epic if she stops hiding among us and takes a walk outside. The woman smirks contemptuously. She does not deem the monk's words worthy of comment. I don't see anything that she said. Oh, right. She did comment on that. Well, you know what, Indara? I disagree. The Crusaders are doing a commendable job at resisting the demons. Oh, yes, and the situation we have found ourselves in can attest to that. But then again, demons are no better. Their preferred strategy also involves brute strength, mindless assault, and unfounded confidence in their superiority. Wow. What is this last war that you mentioned? The last war of Jiska, of course. A large-scale conflict that took place 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. It was a war against the Osirian Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues, the war that ended the legendary Jiska Imperium, an epic struggle that became the most vibrant page in military history. Alas, all conflicts that followed it were but a pale shadow, including the one I am witnessing here. Finding the Osirion was one of the first civilizations to rise in the wake of Earthfall. Osirion is also one of the greatest empires in the history of Galarian, a nation of great knowledge, wealth, and power. This ancient land harbors pyramids, mummies, terrible curses, and endless sand, as well as a culture steeped in proud traditions, devout respect for the gods, dedication to communal service, and unswerving devotion to its rulers. Osirion today is just emerging from millennia of Kelishite rule and regaining the legacy of the pharaohs supplanted by these foreign oppressors. Why do you find the last war of Jiska so inspiring? Imagine legions of golems imbued with extraplanar spirits marching into battle. Imagine flying cities that swoop out of the clouds like terrifying monstrous birds of prey to drop forces on top of enemy castles. Picture gigantic mechanisms powered by captive and very angry demons and devils. Imagine standing in the warpath of walking citadels, or having to cover your ears to block out the sound of cannons loaded with shrieking elementals. Finally, imagine the ultimate weapon that defeated the Jiska, the deadly night plague. This affliction was an attack dog, a trained epidemic, a tamed pestilence, striking only those who its master wanted to kill. Imagine all these terrors and understand that no flight of fancy can even come close to the horror of the nightmares that they made real. The Night Plague. How do you know so much about Jiska's last war? I can say without false modesty that there is no more authoritative researcher on Galarian when it comes to the history of warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. I dedicated my whole life to this subject. I've personally visited old battlefields and studied the most mysterious and forbidden archives containing chronicles of ancient wars, sometimes risking my life in the process. I saw a fallen sky city of the Shori Empire with my own eyes. I ripped out the control crystal from an exterminator-class combat golem that guarded a Jiska laboratory with my own hands. These fingers held the glass flask that the servants of the Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues used to create the first generation of pestilence that devastated the Jiska Imperium. How do I know so much? I saw and touched everything I am telling you about. You're wrong to treat the Crusaders with such disdain. Allow me to explain. A debate? Oh, I will be happy to prove that the current conflict can't hold a candle to the last war of Jiska. Very well. The last war of Jiska was waged using a significantly greater number of troops. Both sides actively relied on reinforcements from allied planes, and their strategic planning was perfected through no fewer than 7 rounds of intensive design. None of the above applies to this war of yours. Compared to the Jiska, we are but stone-wielding kobolds. Stone club-wielding kobolds. I would like to conclude my thesis with a few words of wise counsel from Dagon, or from Dagon, an advisor to the Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues. I doubt you will comprehend the true genius of his statement, but here it is nevertheless. A gadfly sees the ox pays no heed to the gadfly, but crimson fever takes them both. Huh. Diplomacy, I get a +7. The events of the past are shrouded in legend, but the fate of the world is being decided here and now. That is what you fail to grasp. Knowledge of the world, I have a better shot. The principles of war are always the same. Weapons, causes, and resources may change, but the foundations remain immutable. You know, even though I would win the debate with that, probably, I have a better shot. Let's go with Knowledge World. Succeeded. Indara's eyes display frustration as she hears the audience, clearly impressed by your argument, murmuring approval. There is logic in your words, I give you that. Yes, the concept of war does not change, but the degree of sophistication in the methods that we use to destroy our foes. The woman stops, realizing her words, no matter how ostentatious she makes them, no longer have the power to captivate the audience. Indara offers a pretentious dismissal. As a scholar, I cannot deny that there is a certain truth beneath your skeptical statements. History is a complex discipline rooted in fact and an evidentiary basis that grows ever more meager the farther the described period is from the present moment. Of course, if I were to argue in bad faith, the way Crusaders embellished their tales of slaying a single Bramorak by adding a dozen Baelors, for example, I could win this debate. But I am above such things, and therefore am forced to admit that your skepticism is not entirely without merit. She's kind of sowing discord, but I think we're gonna let her stay. I know I'm probably not choosing that, but her words have lacked, we took the power out of them. I am sure you would have been able to expound on your arguments in a longer discussion. Indara nods with obvious relief. I am glad we both understand this limitation. It is always a pleasure to face a worthy opponent, even if the debate takes place in a grimy tavern, perhaps especially because of that. Indara unbuckles her sword belt and hands you the weapon. What? This is a worthy blade. It will be of use not only for the strong, but also for the wise. Receive the Claw of Jiska. And this is where I bid you farewell. Before the end of the day, I was planning to observe how winged demons use pack tactics to drive their prey, like herds of livestock. It's about time I get back to my research. The hint of a smile graces Indara's lips when she sees disappointment in the eyes of many Crusaders around her. Stay safe. Wow. Oh, wow. Wow. That was crazy, guys. Oh my gosh, a debate. Wow. And I think I handled it pretty well, Got the Claw of Jiska at the end of the day. I'll have to quick save that. See how long we've been playing. 29 minutes, okay. Let's go ahead and check that out. I don't see anything that's very claw-like from first look. That's the masterwork falchata. Oh, no sorting. It'd be down here. Potion of blur. Huh, no sorting. Is our inventory full? Oh, there it is. Claw of Jiska. A short sword. No kidding. A +1 flaming short sword. Oh my gosh. I can use that. 1d6 +1 piercing. Enhancement +1 plus 1d6 fire. Awesome. A straight sword forged by the craftsmen of Garund. The scabbard is decorated with engravings that depict battles between Osirian and the Jiska Imperium, accompanied by Indara's musings embroidered in golden thread. A flaming weapon is sheathed in fire that deals an extra 1d6 points of fire damage on a successful hit. And attacks with this weapon get +1 enhancement bonus on both attack and damage rolls. That is a wicked weapon, and that's really going to serve us well. I mean, we go from 3 to 8 to 5 to 15. Come on. Come on. What? Son. Oh, don't burn the place down. No, we have attack. We're only getting a +2 from strength, and we're getting the same. It's the same as if we had a masterwork equipped, same idea, but it's +1 to damage as well with a +1 weapon. So we're doing all this damage. Awesome. Let me hit my water bottle, guys. That was definitely worth the debate. We still didn't level up. We didn't check. We didn't go back to Vasali, who has magical items we can maybe buy. Pink Eye. Can I talk to Pink Eye?
Everyone counts on me.
No. I can't talk to anybody. Huh, for some reason they're untalkable. Come up here. We've got Sela. Halor. Eagle Watch Crusader. Eagle Watch Crusader. Halor and the Spinner of Nightmares. Book, the first of the astonishing exploits of Venture Captain Halor, published by the Pathfinder Society. I'll read that and then take it. The Spinner of Nightmares let out a fiendish laugh, and the wind rose up, sending the sound rippling across the roof of the cavernous temple and off into the darkening sky. You cannot protect them. The demon worshipper performed a graceful pirouette as though she were mocking the ungainly venture captain, who was slowly picking his way across the slippery roof tiles. You may have saved Anthocletus today, but you won't save everyone who gets in my way. I will always be one step ahead, plunging a dagger into the heart of the next fool and sullying your path with blood that you will never be able to wipe clean. Halor lost his footing once again, and only by a miracle did he not go plummeting to his death. His heart threatened to beat right out of his chest, but his mind was consumed with a feverish awareness of how close he was to his target. Only a few dozen paces separated him from the Spinner of Nightmares, close enough to shoot, but the venture captain wanted to be sure the bolt wouldn't kill her, merely maim and immobilize her. The hand crossbow that Halor concealed under the folds of his cloak was throwing off his balance. The jig's up, the spinner of nightmares. The venture captain leaned forward as though trying to catch his breath, a diversionary tactic designed to weaken the vigilance of the villain, who seemed to be waiting for something on the peak of the roof. You have one chance to save your pathetic life. Surrender now. The spinner of nightmares froze as if considering the captain's words before lunging forward like a snake and spitting with contempt. You will never see her again. Click, twang, the whistle of the bolt released from its cradle, and the swish of the spinner of nightmares cloak as she dodged the shot, laughing. Halor let out a bellow, pouring all his hatred and despair into the shout, dashed forward and, slipping on the roof, tumbled to his knees. Gripping a jagged roof tile with his last remaining strength, the venture captain swallowed a grunt of pain and raised his head, only to watch his daughter's abductor be swept away on a black wind. I will find you, the spinner of nightmares. I will find you, the spinner of nightmares. Halor's shout seemed to carry far and wide across the whole of Mendev. I'll find you and I'll tear out your duplicitous heart. Halor. Interesting. You can talk to Irabeth. We'll talk to Halor and Sela next time. It looks like we haven't made any party members except maybe Staunton, but he's not going to join us just yet. Let's talk to Visali for the rest of this episode and see if there's any stuff we should buy now. Daredevil boots. This pair of magical boots shimmers in vibrant shades of blazing red and burning orange when they are held up to the light. These boots allow the wearer to gain extra maneuverability while moving through hazardous areas, while using acrobatics to avoid provoking an attack of opportunity. The wearer gains a +5 competence bonus on mobility checks, and whenever they make a successful mobility check while the ability is active, they gain a +1 bonus on attack rolls for 1 round. Now, what is mobility? Represents the character's talent for balance and coordination, including aerial maneuvers, gymnastics, and tumbling. And when is that applied? Move past opponents without provoking attacks of opportunity. So whenever they actually make a successful check to avoid the attack of opportunity, they gain a +1 on attack rolls. So that a Daredevil will be moving all throughout combat, kind of shirking these attacks of opportunity by passing the mobility checks with a +5 bonus on them, and then attacking for a +1 bonus on attack rolls. The next round moving around again. Definitely Daredevil style. Ring of powerful blood magic. Nobody blood rages in our party yet. These scrolls are cool, but we can't. I don't know if anyone can use them. They're necromancy. We'll look at these scrolls and abilities some other time. Wand of Bless is really cool. Even if Bless is not quite 2nd edition Bless anymore, in terms of D&D, it is still pretty good. It'd be good to have a wand of it for only 135. We'll look around. A demonic heart. It's like a Daedra heart. Different kits. Guardian of Life. As long as the wearer... Well, we don't have 10,000, so we'll look at it when we have 10,000. Honestly. Ring of Protection +1. That's always a good buy. Amulet of Natural Armor +1. Grants its wearer +1 natural armor enhancement bonus to armor class. Does not stack with other natural armor enhancement bonuses. Lesser Extend Meta Magic Rod, This rod grants its wielder the ability to make up to 3 spells they cast per day extended, as though using the Extend spell feat. Lesser rods can be used with spells of 3rd level or lower. That is really cool. How many charges does it have, though? Is it, I guess, like you can use it as many times as you want. And if we look at Extend spell again, you can make your spells last twice as long. An extended spell lasts twice as long as normal. A spell with a duration of concentration, instantaneous or permanent, is not affected by this feat. And the level increases +1. Uses a spell slot 1 level higher. That's pretty interesting. What would I make last? Oh well, Flare Burst, Grease could be helpful too. Plus Camellia could use the rod. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting piece. One you wouldn't quite think of, but scrolls of cure wounds and stuff, that's good. Alright, I thought he had more magical items, but spell magic target is good. We'll maybe save up some money and look at some of this stuff. But right now, create potions of first level spells. Potions of enlarge person, reduce person. Same ideas with scrolls. I don't know if anyone could just do this though. I think you need to take the feat or have the feat or whatever. Icy Protector grants the wearer cold resistance 10. If the wearer has the Ice Plant Hex, it also grants them +2 natural armor bonus to AC. Wow, Ice Plant, that's for Camellia. As long as the wearer of this amulet is under the effect of the Death Ward spell, they get a +2 morale bonus to AC against the attacks of undead creatures. If they use any single target cure wound spell on a target whose current number of HP is 0 or less, the target is healed for an additional number of HP equal to their number of hit dice. Nice. And we'll check out more of these spells and stuff some other time. I don't think I'm going to buy anything just yet, but I'm thinking about the Extend Rod. And maybe selling some stuff. And we have nothing bulk to sell, but maybe parting with some more, getting 4,000 and then buying like an Amulet of Natural Armor. I could use that on my character. I know I have all the magic stuff equipped. Like we've got the flow of water, we can pass that off to somebody. But I have the lowest AC in the front lines, so it's kind of why I'm doing that. But anyway, next time we'll talk to Sela, Halor, and Irabeth, see what they're up to. Right now we're going to save, so thank you guys for watching, as always. I do hope you enjoyed and are enjoying this series. If you are and you'd like to see more, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up or leave a comment. Those are 2 ways to let me know that you'd like to see more, thus more will get made. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I invite you to subscribe if you'd like and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. But those are just suggestions, guys. Do whatever you like, it's all good. Not sure why I have a dot under that. Weird. I'm ready to use my powers to help the needy. See, I don't want to get too much, like, you know, too much away with what I was saying. That could kind of come back to bind us into certain options later. We still have to level up. Lots to do, so I hope to see you guys next time. As I said, we're barely scratching the surface so far. Yes, 29 eps in. It is still that massive of a game. Absolutely massive. Probably the biggest undertaking I've ever done here on the channel in terms of a game and how huge it is. So, and I have all the DLC as well. And they're still making more DLC. But anyway, come back next time. We'll have some more fun. Awesome stuff. Until then, be well, live well, stay well, guys, and much love, peace, and joy. I'm always sad to leave. I want to keep playing, but time to edit. All right, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.